Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I am Scott from King Vehicle Damage Repair, and today what we are going to do is show you guys at home how to repair a minor damage on your own vehicle without using someone like me. Before we start, I have to tell you I sincerely apologize that my van is dirty. It's not ideal, but yesterday I had completed a 100-mile round trip. I got home once the car washes had shut, and this morning the queues were ridiculous. So haven't had a chance to clean the van, is what it is, so don't at me please. But what we will do, and the tutorial starts from now, if you're working from home and your car's not clean, then what you need to do is clean the surrounding areas just like this. So I've cleaned the area that we're going to be working on, which is this trim section here, and I've also cleaned the surrounding areas of the one particular area that we're going to work on. Now this is a much larger damage. There's a series of dents here and above and below, which are, well, as a result of a collision, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to focus on this molding today to give you guys a little bit of a tutorial. The rest of the damage will go through the workshop at a later date, but we thought, let's have a look around the van, let's find a perfect piece of damage that will be easy enough for you guys at home to self-repair. Right, this video is going to be a very quick, to the point video, so without further ado, let's get going. So guys, I saw your comments about my knees in the last video, the Audi TT one. You think I don't own a set of knee pads? Come on, I've been in this industry for well over 10 years, like since I left school. Obviously, like, I'm just mucking with you guys. I really appreciate the fact that, you know, you're only trying to look after my health or my well-being. I was kneeling on these kneeling pads down here, but I'd wrapped them in paper for some reason. I think Zoe, who's behind the camera, she wanted to borrow it. Obviously these are quite dusty and dirty, so I'd wrapped them in brown paper. Maybe didn't realize that when I was kneeling, I was actually kneeling on kneeling pads. These just really get on my nerves, hence why I don't really wear them, but thanks for the mention. I do actually own a set, but I just hardly ever use them. So the first thing you're going to need is some 2-inch tape. Now everything that I'm telling you you're going to need, this is what I use, okay? At the end of the video I will list absolutely every single item I've used in this video, and I'll show you exactly how to order it and where to order it from. So first thing we're going to do is mask out the area that we're going to be working on. So quite simple, make sure the panel is nice and clean and dry. And we're literally just going to mask out the area that we're working on. Now, the reason I'm masking out this area first and then I'm going to paper it is because you don't want to damage anywhere other than the area that you're working on. In the professional world, we usually prep all the area first and then we mask it, but just to save yourself causing any unnecessary damage in case you slip or you hit a part of the panel that isn't the panel you're working on, we'll just mask out the area first just for safety. Also, you definitely would have noticed that we've gone further than what I initially said. The reason being is that I noticed that there was an additional scratch or scuff on this section of the door. Reason being, I know some of you guys will come for me and say, there was a scratch on the adjacent panel, why didn't you repair that too? So we've done that as well. But yeah, now what you'll need is some brown paper. This is a 36-inch roll, so it's a larger paper. You can get a smaller paper which is half the size, but bigger is better in this case. You don't want any overspray going on any other parts of the car that you're not working on. So I always go with a nice big brown paper, rip off a nice lengthy amount, and then what we'll do is we'll just stick a little bit on there, and then you can probably see what I'm going to do is just cover up the area that we're not working on. So what I've done is I've masked out the complete area, that way no overspray is going to go anywhere. We're only using aerosol, so literally the amount of overspray that an aerosol will give off is minimal. I've gone down the bottom section just with the 16-inch small paper. The next thing we will do now is we will sand the areas where we have damage. What I've got here is 3 different grades of disc. I've got 180, I've got 320, and I've got 500. Now, depending on the severity of the damage, will determine what grade of paper you need to use. If you've got a fairly light scuff, then you're probably going to be okay with the 320. If you find that when you sand the area with 320 and that isn't really working for you, then obviously go more aggressive. Don't always go in there with the coarser disc, because then you'll have to take these scratches out using these papers. So what we'll do is we'll start with the 320 grit paper. Again, I'll show you where these are available from, and we'll just gently glide over the area. We're not using any compressed air or anything, as I said at the start, because in the real world at home, you guys aren't really going to have compressed air. So we'll just glide over the areas that are damaged. I've got some other scratches on here as well, which I think are so light, we'll just go with the 500. If the 500 doesn't work, then we'll go back to the 320. So again, as you can see, I'm just gliding over those areas there. So the next section is going to be keying the panel up. I use some water and also a Sickens prep and blend. So this is the Sickens prep and blend. You literally just need a small amount, like so, on your scotch, grey scotch. A little bit of water on there, rub that in, and then scotch the complete area that you're working on. So it's all matte. You don't want any shiny bits, otherwise you run the risk of your paint delaminating at a later date. Once you've keyed up the area using your grey Scotch Brite, what you want is a solvent-based degreaser. I haven't got a tin to show you because I've decanted it into my spray bottle, but again, I'll show you where to get that from at the end of the video. Spray it onto the panel like so. If you haven't got a spray bottle, have 2 rags, have one wet, tip it onto your wet rag, and then have a separate rag which is dry, and you want to remove all the degreaser and all of any residue from your prep work off of the panel completely. Usually in the professional world we would have the luxury of an airline blower, but again, you guys are not going to have that luxury at home, so we'll do our best to remove any residues from the repair area. So now everything is completely matte and prepped. We've cleaned it all now, and what we're going to do is use our masking tape and fine mask, so we don't want any gaps between the repair area and also the original part of the car that we're not working on. So basically go all the way around the section that you're working on, whether it be a wing mirror, a bumper corner, a moulding, whatever, and get a nice tight seal between the repair area and any adjacent panels. The next section we're going to use grey primer. We're also going to need a heat gun. If it's the winter months, I'm pretty certain you're definitely going to need a heat gun. If you're watching this in the summer, then you probably get away with a hairdryer. Make sure you've got yourself a mask. You don't need a dual cartridge mask, but what you will need at least is one of those white sort of dusk masky looking ones, and again, I'll give you a link to where you can get the mask that I'm talking about at the end of the video. So make sure you've covered out the areas that you don't want primer to go, just like this section here, and this section here is where we don't want primer to go, so we've covered that. The same with the front part of the panel. What you'll see here is the raw plastic, so you want just literally a dust coat to start with, and then what you'll do is build it up to 2 and 3 coats, leaving about a 4 to 5 minute flash off between coats. So I'll give you a quick example of how that should look. What you'll see here is a dust coat. We'll give that a quick heat gun just to make sure that's dry, and then we'll go over with one full heavier coat like I have here. We'll let that dry for about 4 to 5 minutes using the heat gun to fan it, and then repeat the process until you've got 3 full coats on the panel. Make sure you shake this can properly hard for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then test it on your masking paper before you actually physically spray it on the panel. Okay, so we've got 3 coats here, 2 coats there, and a dust coat there. We'll build them all up to 3 coats, and then we'll hit the next process. Now we've applied our aerosol primer, and you have let this cure for about 10 to 15 minutes. If it's particularly cold, give it a good 15 minutes. Make sure you've also fanned it using your heat gun. We'll then take a 500 disc and we'll just glide over the areas that we've primered, making sure we've got a nice key to the freshly primered areas. And we go again, making it nice and smooth. And then one last thing I like to do is I just like to get my grey scotch and get in the areas that I couldn't get to using my 500 disc. So I just literally put it in all the nooks and crannies just to make sure that I've got a nice key to any areas that it might have been a little bit awkward to get my disc in. Now, one key thing you guys need to remember is always make sure you don't have any hard primer edges. You can see that my primer edge is nice and faded out. You don't want a hard line, otherwise what will happen is when you come to apply your paint and your clear coat over the top, you'll see that hard line. Always make sure your primer edge is nice and faded out and you can't feel it. Remember, your eyes, your hands are your eyes. If you can't feel anything and it's nice and smooth, you're good to go. So I'm just testing this black colour, which is Ford Shadow Black mixed by BodiCraftSupplies, and I've given it a good shake now, so it's just about ready to go. The process will be very similar to the priming process. It will be a dust coat which will fan off about 30 seconds, and then we'll go with 1 full coat. We'll then leave that for about 3 to 4 minutes, fanning it with the heat gun, and then we'll go again up to 3 coats. If it's still not covered, then obviously keep going until the area, your primer, is fully covered. Once that's fully covered, we'll leave that for a good 10 minutes, fanning it with the heat gun, and then we'll step into the clear coat. So let's get the application, make sure you've got your mask for this process, and as I say, let's get the application carried out. So next we are going with a 1K clear coat. Now, make sure that your base colour is dry, and a little tip for you, when you're applying each coat, so if you think that you've dried the first coat, always just touch your tape and make sure your tape's dry. If your tape's dry, then the chances are your panel's going to be dry. Make sure it's dust free. So you can also use a tack rag, which I'll put a link into this video to show you, well, I'll show you where to get a tack rag from, and what that will do is it will just take off any dust that might be sitting on the surface. So we just run our tack rag over the top, take off any dust, because once we go through this clear coat application, you're committed, there's no going back. Make sure you've got your mask on because you don't want to breathe in this clear coat, and then what we'll do is again we'll just put a light dust coat on as a gripper coat, and then we'll go with 2 full clear coats to finish the job. So let's do it. Guys, and there you have the aerosol clear coat application completed. Remember, the process was a gripper coat with a couple of minute flash off, then one full coat with a 5-minute flash off between your second and third, or first, second and third. Once that has been completed, at this time of year where ambient temperature is below 10 degrees, you'll need to allow at least 1 hour before the paintwork has dried. If you're not sure, always just touch the tape. If your tape's dry, then your panel is going to be dry. As we go through the summer months, that may come down to just 25 minutes or half an hour, but at the time we are filming this, it is over an hour. Guys, just a little bit of a disclaimer for those of you that might be thinking much bigger. Do not think big, keep it small. Keep it to a very small bumper corner, a wing mirror cover, a door handle, a side moulding. Do not try to do complete panels. These products aren't designed for that kind of repairing. And remember, this is not a professional job. This is just enhancing a panel that has damage on it and making it appear to look better than what it is. It's never going to be to an OEM or an original manufacturer's finish. It's literally just to enhance something that doesn't appear to look very good in the first instance. So remember that. Good luck. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get your hands on all of the products that you have seen me use in this video and also in previous videos. I work with BodiCraftSupplies. They are one of my main suppliers, and yeah, if you see me use something, the next part of the video will show you how to get your hands on it. So guys, this is the BodiCraftSupplies website, and as I said to you before, a lot of the products that I use come from BodiCraft. So what we'll do is show you the King vehicle damage repair part of the website. So if we click on the tab, you'll see this is the King vehicle damage repair site, or part of the site, and you've got everything that I use. There's there's a link to our videos here as well, and you'll see that there's things like aerosol speed blenders, the clear coat that I use, sanding discs, polishing system, and then at the very bottom there you'll have a link to the YouTube video. So if you've watched one of the videos and you wonder what it is that I'm using, then basically just click on the link and then you can scroll up and you can see if one of those products are there. If they're not, then what you might have to do is go into the main website. There might be a search box there where you can just tap in the name, or better still, pick up the phone and give BodiCraft a call. The next thing that we're going to do is we'll show you the products that we've used in today's video. So if you see in the basket, you'll see these are pretty much everything that I've used in today's video. Now, the only thing I will say to you is that if you buy all of these items individually, they do tot up to a substantial amount. However, you can't buy a single sanding disc, you can't buy a single Scotch-Brite. So I appreciate the cost is, you know, over £200, but if you break that down to, you know, you could use 10, you could repair 10 cars or do 10 repairs using these products at least. So, you know, that sort of works out to about £25 per vehicle. So the next thing that I want to show you guys is if you want to order one of the aerosols that I've used in this video, particularly the color. So if you've got, you know, a BMW and it's carbon Schwarz, then obviously you'll need the paint code for that. So today we used Ford and it was Shadow Black. Now, if you've got a Mercedes and it's Obsidian Black, the code is going to be 197. So what you need to do is go into this section here, and if I go back a step, yeah, go into custom mixed base coat colors, and what you're going to need is the paint or the car manufacturer, which will go in here. So if we say Mercedes, and then the code, which will be situated somewhere on the vehicle, we know Obsidian Black is 197. Put in here whatever the color is, whether it be black, silver, red, blue, what the model is. So we say C-Class on this occasion, and then the year of registration. So we're to 2014. Oh, 2024, 2014. Now, if you can't find the color code on your car, there is a couple of ways to do this. If you phone the parts department for Ford or Mercedes or whoever, go through to the parts department, tell them that you need to find the body color of your car, give them the registration, and a lot of the time they can provide you with the color code. Make sure you put your registration in here, because this will help BodiCraft if you have for some reason put the wrong code in, and they'll be able to find it based on your behalf. But always try to find the color code first and try to make sure it's the right one. So you add that to your basket, and then the guys at BodiCraft can get this all made up for you, put it into an aerosol, and that's that done. Finally, guys, before I end the video, I just want you to go onto the King Vehicle Damage Repair part of the website, and don't forget that we've got a discount code, wherever it may be, somewhere up here, which is there, King10. If you're ordering from BodiCraftSupplies, make sure you let them know that I've sent you there, and also use our discount code for 10% off. Thank you as always for watching. I'm going to sign out. It's Scott King from King Vehicle Damage Repair. Make sure you're subscribed, like, drop us a comment on how you've got on if you followed the process, and I'll see you on the next one.